Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Movie Bucket here on Screen Stealers. Hope you grabbed your popcorn, your soft drink, and maybe even a soft pretzel. It's time to talk about another movie. I'm Brooke, and sure.
Well, yes.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. And hi, everyone. I am River, and that's just how artists are. They are just born outraged.
Yeah, that is very true. That is absolutely true. Um, Hola, I am Eduardo, and Boca, if you're out there, you can go fuck yourself. I fucking hate you, you fucking piece of shit. You
It's
are
on
such a
site. If
fucking.
we see
It's
you,
on site. You and Joanna, both of you can catch these hands. Both of you can catch
girl.
these. Actually, Joanna, you get a pass because you went through it. But Boca, if you're out there, I will. If you will catch these hands.
All of these 6 hands, bitch.
These 6 hands, they will be caught.
Four hands while I, do the get them in the back.
Or you hold him, and then we use our 4 hands.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So, in our latest installment of Female Directors Month, River, tell the folks what we're watching today and do my cast intro because I don't want to butcher these actors' names.
So since I chose to bring a Brazilian movie to us all today, I will do the honors. So today I chose Ó Paí from 2007. This was written and directed by Monique Gardenberg, and it's based on a play by Márcio Meirelles. So this was, and after this movie, they did a series, like a TV series as well. And it's not based on a true story, but it's fiction that is based on a true reality. Of the place that the movie is set. This is starring Lázaro Ramos, Academy Award nominee Wagner Moura, Dira Paes, Emanuelle Araújo, Stênio Garcia, and many more, but mainly. And I really wanted to bring this movie because I wanted to revisit it personally, because I had only seen it like 15 years ago, I think, and I only really remembered like the main themes and one specific scene, which I think we all know which one, which we know why.
Yeah.
And I just love Lázaro Ramos and Wagner Moura separately as actors. And they are friends in real life. Like they became friends before they filming a movie before this one together. And actually, Lázaro Ramos was the person that Wagner decided to bring to the latest Academy Awards as his guest. So he did attend this year because they are such close friends ever since they filmed their first movie together. And I love them individually, and I remember enjoying this movie, but because it had been such a long time, I wanted it to revisit and then share it with you as well. Before we actually get into it, I will say I had a different experience watching it this time because, of course, watching something as a teenager and as a full grown adult is going to be very different, and you'll see things differently. But nevertheless, I am glad that I revisited this so I can have fresh opinions on it. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're coming off the heels of watching a different Brazilian film just a couple weeks ago. Right. Mm-hmm. A very, really, really, really good Brazilian movie just a couple of weeks ago in The Second Mother. So I will admit my expectations were a bit high. But they weren't like sky high. This is going to be an incredible film.
Unreachable.
But
yeah.
It was just, I am excited to get to this and I think it's going to be good. I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Not for me. I'll just say that. Not for me. And I'll explain why.
It is a different style. It is very different. Like, especially comparing to the one that you saw before, very different.
Oh, yeah, very different movie. Well, I mean, okay, let's just be blunt. This is inherently, right, basically just a slice of life movie, right?
It's a low budget, it's almost a documentary style.
Yeah, almost like a real, like I don't want to call it a mockumentary because it's not trying to be a documentary, but it feels very realistic, and it feels like you're just watching a day in the lives of these people. that's fine. I have seen plenty of movies like that I do enjoy. So it's nothing to do with like the smaller scale. I actually kind of like that more intimate setting, and I think they do a really good job of establishing this community. I'll get to my negative aspects in a minute. I don't want to dominate the conversation before other people have a chance to give like their broader feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were talking a little bit before we started, and like I mentioned, I had a different experience this time. And as someone that now has watched more movies, has also gone to film school a little bit, didn't finish, but a little bit. So I know a little bit more than I did before. I will say that I still think that this is a very important film for what it is. But I will say that when it comes to technical things about movie making, I think the critiques are valid no matter what they are. Like, I think it's a very there's a lot to fault here. You know, I understand that aspect of it, and I will say, I still appreciate the movie for what it is and what it's trying to say and what it is saying, right? I do feel like this time I maybe, not necessarily that I enjoy it less, but I feel like I appreciate it more than I actually personally enjoy it truly. You know, like I feel like I enjoy moments of it more specifically than the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like today it's more of an appreciation than a personal enjoyment, truly. But I don't know. I'm kind of mixed.
In case there were any doubts, this was a first watch for Eduardo and I, and a rewatch for River. I know River has made it clear it was a rewatch. We just like establishing it because we do think it's important, you know, given the context of how we're feeling, right? Where we're at. So just thought we'd get that out of the way before we continue.
Yes. Yeah, I have several issues with this movie, unfortunately. I think I agree with you, Brooke. I think I had seen not only The Second Mother, but also like I'm Still Here last year or 2 years ago. I don't remember specifically how long ago it was. 2 years ago. And both of those were amazing. So I think I came into this movie with very high expectations, unfortunately. And so those expectations were not met, but that's my own fault for having those expectations. But yeah, this kind of movie is just not a type of movie that I tend to kind of like gravitate towards. There's just things here and there that it's just not for me. I respect it more than I like it. So I give it props for what it's trying to say and what it's trying to do. But at the same time, I'm just like, it's very clear that I am not the person who, like, I'm not the correct person to receive this message in this specific form. Unfortunately, like, you know, there's just art that will sometimes just not be for you, and unfortunately this one just isn't for me. So we'll get more into the technical aspect and to my little issues that I have with this movie. But yeah, I think my biggest thing is that I did have high expectations about it, unfortunately, which, you know, it's my own fault.
So can I suggest, and you can, you know, be honest, but since we all have different negative or like critiques or things that seem negative that we want to touch on, do we want to maybe start with what we individually personally did enjoy and then go to the negative?
There were two things about this movie that I adored. Right, and I think they are both incredible. One, this movie has a banger soundtrack. I want to get that.
The music, yes,
the music is great.
Yeah.
Quick spoiler, because we haven't really officially announced it yet. We are planning a little something towards the end of the year. We're not going to go into full detail yet. Don't be surprised if Ó Paí pops up during that when we discuss soundtracks.
For something,
this is a fantastic soundtrack.
Okay, good.
I do appreciate that it's not only music just playing in the background of scenes. It's also, you know, there are characters that sing. We're at Carnival, so naturally there's going to be music. It's going to have that party atmosphere, and it's just a really lovely soundtrack. So I just want to get that out of the way first. The soundtrack is phenomenal, and it single-handedly gave this movie an extra star. I want to get that out of the way.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And then the other thing that I really loved was Lázaro Ramos. I think he was amazing in
Okay,
this
good.
movie.
That was that was the
Yeah.
main thing and the main reason why I wanted you to watch this movie, because I needed an introduction to this actor that I love, and I needed it to be the correct one. And I think this, because to me, I agree. I think he is the best part of this movie.
Mhm.
Period. Him and the music, I agree. I agree with you. Best part of the movie for sure.
Yeah, Lázaro Ramos definitely is like the absolute standard of this movie to the point in which I wish maybe the whole movie was seen through his eyes, but that's fine. Um, he is absolutely amazing. Of course, we've already said the soundtrack. I also like there's two very specific scenes which I think very much added to my enjoyment of this movie because they were both very needed at a time where I was like not really connecting with the movie up until that point. The movie, the part where Roque and Boca have the fight,
Mhm.
is very, I think, a very important scene and very like very powerful to hear Roque say the things that he says and fight against Boca, and like it just really hit hard, and it was really cool to see it happened. And also, of course, the very ending scene with um,
Mhm.
Joanna and the witch and what the witch doctor and her like running down the street like for a character that I did not really care for and
Yeah.
that I was like really struggling to connect with and to like even find any positives towards her, to have that very emotional moment and to have me finally care about you all the way until the end of the movie is like it was a crazy like switch up, and it really threw me for a loop. And I really respected that scene because it finally felt like I was seeing other people like that were not Lázaro Ramos really show us their ability to act and to
Mhm.
really go out there and like do really cool things when it comes to being in front of us, like being up on the screen. So I really
Mhm.
appreciate those two scenes specifically as well.
Yeah, I think those are also like my top two. And one thing that I enjoy that I just think it's just fun, it's not anything true like super special or anything. But the scene with Hockey and what's her name? The girl, the woman. I forgot her name.
Uh, there are so
The
many women.
Haza.
Hosa.
Yes. Like the new girl that comes to town, whatever that he's
Mhm.
like when he's like she's like he's a singer and she's a dancer, and then he's like, oh, can you dance for me? And she says, only if you sing, and then he sings for her, and like she did like that dancing scene I thought was really fun and
Yeah.
hot, quite frankly. Like that was to me spicy, so hot.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't kiss, they didn't like only towards the
They
end.
didn't kiss
But like
during.
that was it was they were just dancing and like rubbing on each other, and it was nothing like they didn't really do anything. It was just so hot. It was so yeah. And also his song when Hockey sang like the with the guitar when he was like
Oh
singing, and it was
yes.
like a montage of things happening while he was singing that song. I really enjoyed that as well.
Hmm.
Um we talked about how we all hate Boca, and yes, but I wanted to there's two things about the character that I wanted to ask y'all. You specifically, Eduardo, is number one.
Hmm.
Do you have, because this is a stereotype of a person that exists, right?
Yes.
Do you know, I want to know, this person exists in Mexico, right? You've seen this person.
I have
You have
family
met.
members that are this person.
Okay, good. Because here's my thing. The reason why I also wanted to show this
Maybe not
performance of
good.
Wagner Moura is because
Yeah, not good.
I wanted you to see him act the total fool. Like the
It
contrast
was
of this performance and the secret agent, it's just if for the people that have seen both, it's wild.
it's
Um
crazy.
and I think, of course, like the character is very dumb, and it's rage bait, basically. The character is just rage bait.
Yes, it is.
But I do think it paints a perfect picture uh of reality and just people, because he's racist, but he wants to be like the guys in the community. Like he's imitating the way that
Mhm.
they speak, that like everything about them, but he's racist. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like that is, I think, the main thing and message from this character, right? That we can take. Um, And also one of the main reasons why I think this movie is very important is to show, because if you live in Brazil, you kind of have you know about Carnaval, and you kind of know about what happens outside of the main parades in Rio and all of that, right? The street stuff and like the smaller but still huge like street parties and whatever. I think this movie is important because it shows the side of Carnaval that the outside world does not know and doesn't have access to. Because in Bahia, in Salvador, is like that's the region that Carnaval originated. And when people from Brazil, if you truly love Carnaval, like you know that the place to be is Salvador and not Rio. You know what I mean? Like during Carnaval, like if you know, you know. That's the main spot. And this movie kind of talks about the beginning of the gentrification of not only Carnaval, but that space. Because in Salvador, in that street, the Pelourinho, where the movie is set, that's where Michael Jackson filmed They Don't Care About Us, like that part of the music video with the band, with the shirt, because they even have like the shirts of the band and all of that.
Yeah.
So that is like we see in the movie, that used to be very much like a space for a community, like we see in the movie and all of that. And then it's, since this movie was released around that time, is when it's kind of really started the strong gentrification until today. Not only of the place, but also the party and the celebration of Carnaval has been gentrified, whitewashed, because a lot of people in Brazil, they celebrate Carnaval, but they don't like to admit that it's a celebration of Black culture, for example. You know what I mean? And also I think one of the most important points that the movie touches on is the demonization of African-based religions, or like diaspora religions that come from originally African religions, and Carnaval as well. So like that, like Christians versus African religions and celebrations and all of that. And in this movie, we see it coming from a Black woman, which is sad, but very real. You know, I think that's what makes it so sad. It is because it is very real. And I think when it comes to the positives of this movie, I think that is the main part. Like what I said about what it's trying to say in the themes that it touches on, right? Mainly.
Yeah.
And there's more, right? There's like the trans person, like the transphobia and all of that storyline, the clandestine abortions, like there's many other smaller stories that also kind of give you that sense of what it is like to really be in that community. And it shows that the reason why we party so much and like Brazilians party and are so like happy and celebrating all the time is because of the misery that most people live in. You know what I mean? It's to show that contrast and kind of why we are the way that we are, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
I just think it might be a good thing to point out really quick. In terms of messaging, I think this movie has like really good messaging that it's trying to get across. I think it does it when it has the gumption to stick to the message it is trying to say. It does a very good job at sticking to that message. Specifically, the confrontation scene over the trolleys. Like, yes, of course.
That's the scene. That's the one. Like, that's the scene of this movie, and it's what it's remembered by, basically.
I have to say, though, pretty much every other, like, I'm going to say the ending fell flat for me. I'm just going to go ahead and get that out of the way. I didn't understand the point, right? Because to me, one, is it just me or did the ending feel incredibly rushed to anyone else? Because for me, like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so these kids are getting chased by the police, at least according to my subtitles. My subtitles may have been wrong. Please tell me if I am wrong.
It was a guy. He was a cop, but he was not working for the police at that. He was a cop that was hired as private security for the store owner. So he is a cop, but he wasn't performing, like he wasn't doing police work.
So what happened to the kids that caused them to die? I am quite confused.
Well, you
Well, they
saw him
all like
kick out
they
of-
were running, and they kind of like the guy was running towards them, and because kind of how there's so much happening, so many people in the street, they got lost in the crowd, and the guy followed the other boys thinking that it was still them. So they just were able to escape in the crowd because it's, you know, that's what I assume, at least, because we don't see it, but that's what makes the most sense to me.
But it's just okay. I am a huge
It's also to
believer
show
in
that
show,
the
don't
security
tell.
kind of sees the boys as all the same because like they're just black boys. Like he doesn't know.
Totally
who
understand
is who.
that. Totally get that. I understand the logic of something could have happened, right? I am such a big believer in show don't tell, right? And I understand that in this particular situation, they did that. They showed us that something had happened, right? But it feels like there was like a something in the middle that just got taken out of this particular time. And I don't know. It just feels so awkwardly edited. Like it feels like they took out like
say it's the
a
editing
10
is
second
the
clip,
thing. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And I just don't understand the point of all of it. And like I get what they're trying to do with the situation itself, like obviously, but it just felt weird to me, and it just kind of felt like pointlessly tragic. Maybe. Is it a realistic thing that could possibly happen? Of course, right? I'm not saying that, but like it just felt from a narrative standpoint, what was to be gained by doing that? I don't know. Like I really don't know.
Well, what I will say is that my biggest issue with this specific thing is not that it simply happened or that it's needlessly tragic, because I also do think that it finally shows us some humanity in Joanna, which is very needed because throughout this entire movie, Joanna is very clearly like an
The worst.
antagonistic force. She is awful. She is a bitch, and everyone knows it. They don't hide that from us. So it is somewhat like refreshing to see Joanna finally like cave and like finally ask for help and like even ask for help from someone that she doesn't respect and say like, I'm desperate, I really need some help, and to finally see some emotion other than like this higher gnosis from her. Like it was very refreshing to see, and as I said, I really like the acting that we got. What I will say bothered me about this scene is cutting from that to the sex scene that was happening also at the same time with Hoke and Rosa. It felt very it felt weird to me. It felt very weird to me to watch a woman grieve over her dead sons and very quickly then like cut to a very steamy makeout, the sex scene that was going on, and then cut back to Joanna crying over her kids, and then cut back to like the makeup. It felt very odd to me. Like it just felt like weird. It just didn't feel right. I would have rather like have the scene, both of those scenes separately, rather than cut together. I will say so. That is my biggest issue with the
I just
ending
want to say
scene.
quickly. And what I'm gonna say is not to try and change the way that you feel about it. If you you can still feel the same way. It's not about that. It's just because to me, like, of course, it's. I think you're not supposed like no one's supposed to feel good while watching that, right? Like you're supposed to feel uncomfortable, right? What I will say with the way that I interpret it, right? What me watching what I thought, why is it being shown to us like this, right?
Yeah.
What are they trying to say to me? What I thought is that it's trying to show exactly like the two extreme sides of what happens during Carnival, and not only Carnival, right? But for this movie specifically, we'll go with that. With like something like that, the kids dying and all that, like that's happening in one street, and then like 2 streets down, because people don't know. Like at this time, we didn't have smartphones, all that. Like people don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like people 1 or 2 streets down are like partying because they don't know that just happened to their community, you know? And it's kind of, and it's kind of, I think, to me, to show the the light and the dark side of Carnaval, because it is a time to celebrate. It's a huge party. It's beautiful. It's all of that. Yes. But also a lot of rape happens. A lot of murder happens. A lot of like other types of crimes and horrible things also happen, you know, and not only because they are always happening, right? But a lot of those specifically happen more because of the circumstance of Carnaval, right? And whatever. And I think that was why you can still not like it, you know what I mean? But I think that was what they were trying to convey with doing that.
I actually really liked that juxtaposition. That was actually one of the things I really enjoyed the most of the scene was, okay, you have the people still partying, they're still playing the carnival music, and you're seeing Joanna break down while we're having this steamy sex scene. Like, that was perfect to me, because to me it was kind of like, well, life goes on. Like, that was just what it was trying to say.
It keeps happening.
Like, this is life. This is just their life. That felt amazing to me. That was the absolute best part of this ending for me, was that weird juxtaposition. Do I still feel like the kids dying apropos of nothing is a bit of an odd choice, considering there were barely characters in this movie and we don't really get to see much of them? Now, granted, we get to see them doing kid stuff, right? You know, lying to their mom, sneaking around, going to the market, lying to people to get stuff. Cool. But in terms of actually participating in them with any sort of character in this movie, there's not much, right? Yeah. And even then, when it comes to Joanna herself, all we really get from her for most of the movie is just uptight Christian bitch. Like, that's just who she is. And also bitch who won't turn the water back on. The fuck?
Girl. No. Okay, because during Carnaval in Salvador, to turn the water off is fucking diabolical. Like,
I cannot imagine.
It's like over 100 degrees. Like, no, absolutely not. No. Unforgivable.
But there were aspects of this movie that I think had interesting ideas that I don't think they went anywhere with. Like the taxi driver. I don't get it. I don't know what they were trying to talk about here. I understand this man is sleeping around. Cool. I understand this man is like not morally on the up and up. Cool. His plotline kind of just ended and it didn't really have a conclusion. Like, did I miss something? Like, that whole plotline felt like, I'm not saying you should have, but you could have erased all of that, and I don't think the movie would be that different. I think we should have added an extra 2 minutes and wrap it up instead, but here we are.
Yeah. I think the point of his character was to show like the family man, that like the guy that hides behind the family man title, but does all the like shady, sketchy things on the side. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was mostly to talk about the way that he like homophobia and transphobia, right? I think that was the point of his character and everything that happened relating to him, right? What I will say, the thing is, my biggest critique of this movie is I think the ideas are great. It's the way that everything was put together, right? Like the editing, especially, but also like, I feel like either give us a little bit longer watch time and go a little bit deeper into the smaller stories, right? Outside of Hockey and Boca, which were kind of the main characters, but not really, right? Because it's all the side stories are kind of the same size. There's not like, the main story is just what is happening with that community, right? Like, but the individual characters, besides Hockey, like, there's no real main protagonist or storyline, right?
It's an ensemble cast. Like, you're getting different stories that are happening in this one community. If anything, the community itself is kind of the main character.
Exactly. Yes.
Like, we are seeing different interactions between these different people that live in this one community. That is just where we're at. So like, it just felt like a lot of these people didn't have a sort of wrapping up point for their side stories.
It feels unfinished, like a draft. You know, like the last draft before you add it and do like the real thing. You know what I mean? Like the last one before you do everything and then put it together and give us the final project. I feel like it's almost there in a lot of things, and it's like it's getting there and then it doesn't.
Well, and I think
it doesn't focus enough on one thing before it goes to the next one. I feel like it's very fast paced, and I want to go slightly a little bit deeper in all of the different storylines, a little bit.
I wouldn't even say that necessarily. I
or
just
remove
feel
like remove one of the side storyline, like just one, and then give us a little bit more of each of the other ones. I don't know.
I wouldn't even say that. I just feel like we need to have another 10 minutes to wrap up each of these storylines. That's all we need.
Right.
Because they're developed enough. Like every storyline in a movie doesn't have to be developed. Like literally, Lin-Manuel Miranda, I love him to pieces. It's just the first thing that popped in my head, right? In the Heights, the Piragua guy, right? He has 2 songs. The first song is, I'm struggling because Mr. Softy is ice cream and it's doing better than my Piragua. Oh no. Second song, Mr. Softy's truck broke down. I'm making money selling Piragua and I'm jacking up my prices to gouge the people. Awesome. Like that's all you need. It's 2 songs. He's barely a character in the play, in the movie, like whatever. That's all you need. It's a small story that is self-contained within 2 numbers that has little to no bearing on the rest of the plot, right? Versus here, every single side story in this movie doesn't have a finish. And I understand it's slice of life, and maybe in real life, these stories wouldn't all finish in one day. I get that. This is a movie. This is a film.
Yeah.
And it's a cut, like it's a specific period of time, and it's like we don't get the before, we don't get the after, we just get that one slice, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted more.
Give me a bigger
there's
slice.
Something lacking. Yeah.
Give me a bigger
It's not
slice.
enough slices, actually. It's not enough. I need more slices.
I need more slices. I need a way bigger slice. Because like you said, Brooke, it really felt like we were starting to develop a lot of these stories, and then none of them finished. We never got like a satisfying ending to any of them, which is really frustrating because when you start caring about a character and then they just magically disappear from your screen because their storyline no longer is going to matter anymore, it's just frustrating and like, whatever. I truly do think
happens in pro wrestling sometimes, where like a wrestler's got this whole thing planned and then like start planting the seeds and stuff, and then the wrestler leaves the company and they're like, "Oh, that didn't happen. Don't worry about that. You just move on." Like, and they do that constantly, and they have to. They don't have a choice. Sometimes people just don't resign, like whatever. This is a movie. You can fix that. This doesn't have to be a problem you're having.
So this movie was based on a play, and I have not seen the play, but I was taking a look on Letterboxd because this movie has actually a great Letterboxd rating, and I do understand that a few of and I will be real here, don't hate me, a lot of Brazilian people give Brazilian movies 5 stars just because they are Brazilian movies. I'm not saying people did this here, but maybe instead of maybe it was a 4 for them, but because it's Brazilian, like they give it a 5. You know what I mean? Like maybe they're not forcing it too much, but maybe they're putting a little bit of that into it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to discredit anything, but let's keep that in mind because I know how we are, and that's just reality.
But if a movie's relatable to somebody, you know,
just quickly, I wanted to say is that I saw a lot of people that watched the play leaving bad reviews and saying, go watch the play. So what I'm assuming with that is that this was not the what we're talking about, the unfinishedness of it. Mm-hmm. I think it was the writer and director here, unfortunately, not being able to translate or adapt the play to a movie as well as she would, or the play deserves, or as well as she would have wanted. I think maybe that is why. Because as we all agree, like there is, like the bones are here. It's just the sauce, the filling, the spices, everything else. You know what I mean? But like
Where's the flavor?
The base is here, but like I think it's a lot of good ingredients, but then you put it together and it's like, but what is this? Like the ingredients individually, it's all great, but then you put it together and you're like, but this doesn't really, like, what is going on, right? And I think that's, to me, the editing truly is the villain. And
Truly.
like the biggest fault of this movie, I think, to me, is the editing.
I feel like you could also maybe throw a little bit at the screenplay here, because
A little bit,
if there's no conclusion in the screenplay, it doesn't matter what the editing does. If they didn't film it, we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like she didn't, the writer director, she didn't do the best job with adapting the screenplay from the original play, and maybe that is why after this movie was released, they did a TV show based on it, because they felt maybe like the story, like we need to tell more about the story and we need to do it justice. I think maybe that's why. They also did a sequel to this movie in 2023, I think. But I have not watched that yet, so I don't know. But it does exist. So maybe they redeemed something in that. I don't know. Who knows? But we're talking about this one, and this one they didn't put the bow on it. It feels unfinished, unfortunately. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah.
But I will defend the good things that I taught, like the good aspects that I see in it. I will defend that for sure. Like, I think this is a flawed movie that is trying to do something good. Like, I like what it's trying to do. I'm just sad that it failed a little bit in the execution.
Yeah,
it did not deliver everything that I needed.
Yeah, its heart is in the right place. It's just like it's a diamond in the rough. If we were to, like, I wish I could, like, grab it and, like, go to Brazil and, like, try to help, like, tell them before, like, hey, you need to add these things, you need to polish these things, you need to fix these things, just so that this movie reaches the potential that it clearly has. So it's one of those things where, like, it frustrates me to see a movie with potential not reach the levels that I know it could have.
It's almost worse than when a movie is just bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you're like, I'm mad at the wasted potential, kind of, low-key.
Because if, like, you were bad, I could at least make fun of it for it being bad, and, like, it's so hilariously bad that, like, I can shit on it. I don't feel right shitting on this movie because there's still a lot of good things about this movie, and it's saying a lot of really good messages. But I'm just incredibly frustrated by the wasted potential that we have here, because you showed us you are capable of giving us very powerful, very well acted scenes. So why didn't we get more of those? You were able to show us that you were able to close out some storylines. So why didn't you close out all of them? Why, if you were able to give us a satisfying ending between Roque and Rosa, why couldn't you do that with everyone else? It's just, it makes me want to scream. It makes me want to have be able to travel in time to tell them to fix this movie just so it could be better.
Come to Brazil and riot. Come to Brazil and riot in the streets, baby. Yes.
I will. I will.
So I haven't even touched on my actual biggest problem with the movie yet, and I wanted to get out the problem I thought we would all share first. The opening 30 minutes of this film are the single most boring opening 30 minutes of any film I have watched in the past year. I'm just gonna say, outside of one, and you know what movie I'm talking about. Like Gosford Park, baby.
Coming soon, baby. Coming soon.
Oh, by the way, let's just go ahead and announce it to the people. We talk so much mess about Gosford Park. Now, we have watched Gosford Park. We did cover it in the pre-channel days. But because we talk so much mess about it, we will be covering Gosford Park in, we're not going to say the month, but there is a specific month. November. We're covering it in November. We'll just put it that way. There's a little teaser for you in November. Gosford Park review in November. But this opening 30 minutes of this movie was a fucking slog. I cannot tell you how uninterested in this movie I was in the opening 30 minutes. I'm gonna say something bold. I think I was more entertained by the opening 30 minutes of Best in Show. And
Okay.
for me,
for you, that is saying
for
something.
For you, that is crazy.
that's a gag. Like,
That's saying something. Yeah.
God, because at least in the opening 30 minutes of Best in Show, I get to see Jennifer Coolidge and Jane Lynch interacting, and that's fun. But like,
Can I say
the
something?
only thing I liked about the opening 30 minutes was the title sequence where he's body painting her.
Yeah.
That's literally it. And there's no dialogue. I was so bored. I tried. Like,
I will respectfully disagree, because I feel like a lot of your critiques are I agree at least partially on, right? This I disagree, but I understand where you are coming from. I know that, like, after I finished rewatching this and like remembering it, because when I chose it, I didn't remember a lot of it. I kind of was expecting that, like, it wasn't gonna be a hit for either of you. I didn't know exactly how you would feel, but I knew that it wasn't going to be like, oh my God, I love it, right? I knew you would have some feelings about it, but I didn't know, where it would fall exactly. I do enjoy the beginning, because I enjoy the kind of getting immersed in the community, and it's kind of like you're getting your settings and you're kind of getting introduced to the community and how all of this works. Because one of the things I think is important is we see the store owner, like, hire the security to, like, keep the store safe, whatever, and then the guy ends up wrongfully killing the kids, right? And there's one scene where when the guy comes back and talks to the store owner, and the store owner says, not you can't do that to the community kids. And I think that's why the beginning is important. I'm not saying you should enjoy it or not. I'm saying for the relevancy of that introduction and giving you that feeling of, like, being in the community, and also in the way that it's shot, right? It's kind of supposed to make you feel like you're in there with them on part of it. I think it's because we see this community all fight, low-key hate each other, like, cheat on each other, like, people, like, fighting, then dancing together, then back to fighting, then, like, fuck you, and then hugs, and, like, you know what I mean? And if you know. If you're from Latin America, that bar scene where they're, like, fighting, dancing, then fighting, that's real as fuck.
Yeah.
Very real. And I think that's why, like, the end of the movie, he says, not the community kids, because it doesn't matter that they hate each other. All of the things that we saw don't matter, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the power that is above the community, they are together in that. It doesn't, and nothing else matters when it comes to someone threatening the community. You know what I mean? That they will stick together in that no matter what. And then after they're done with that, they'll go back to fighting, right? But before, they will protect the community. If there is one thing they will do, is that. And I think, however you feel about the beginning of it, I think it's important to give that feeling for you to care about the people, and that we're going to see them going through a lot of shit. So I feel like it's important for us to care about them before. But hey, it didn't make you care about them, so it didn't really work for you. So, it's fine. Sometimes it works for some people, not for others.
That scene in the bar was the first time I was interested in most of these people. I will just go ahead.
Also, the bar owner, the butch bar owner, love her. Iconic.
No, I also love the teacher coming around. It's like, here's the petition. Bar owner signs petition. Goes up to random. I'm not signing a petition. What do? You take my kids go to your school. Do you come here drink during the day? She's like, I'm not even drinking. I'm just at the bar.
Like, I'm trying to do my work.
I'm trying to work. What do you mean? No, truly. I will say, specifically talking about the beginning, I understand why we did it the way that we did it, so that we get introduced to the characters, so that we try to, like, care, like bring some sense of care about them. But
But
at
you
the
didn't
same
like
time,
it. Like you understand, but you don't like it, right?
at the
That's
same
fair.
time,
That's
I
fair.
agree with Brooke. I was also bored watching the
Sure.
introductions. Because like there were some introductions that were a lot more interesting than others, and sometimes I thought we lingered in some characters that were specifically like not as interesting as I found other characters, especially at the beginning. It's just like
Yeah.
when you have an ensemble cast, you're gonna get some characters that are not gonna be your favorites, that you're not gonna care about, and there's just gonna be some scenes where they focus on those characters that you're not really gonna care about that. And unfortunately, I did not connect with a lot of the characters that we got introduced to at the very beginning. It wasn't until until 45 minutes in around, which I think is around the scene where
Literally
the
halfway through the
bar
movie. It is halfway through the damn
happens,
movie.
or halfway through the
Halfway
movie,
through. Yeah.
where when it's like, okay, now everything's starting to click together and I'm starting to actually care more about these characters. So I am somewhere in the middle where I understand why we did it this way, but I still was not in love with it.
There is one storyline that none of us talked about yet that I wanted to touch on a little bit because I think it's it brings up a very interesting discussion. Pisileni, the sister that came back from Europe. Girl, Eduardo, this is our moment. Brooke,
This is our moment.
this is our okay, because if there is one thing that all Latinos in Latin American countries have in common is the fucking Latino that moves to a richer country and thinks they are better than everyone else.
Mhm.
And everything that is from the US or Europe is better, is superior. Washing dishes in Europe is better than washing dishes in Brazil. Like, bitch, shut the fuck disrespectfully. Actually,
Yeah.
disrespectfully,
No, truly.
fuck off and shut the fuck up. And I cannot. Okay.
It kind of reminds me a little bit.
There's one thing is critiquing the things there are to critique about Brazil specifically, which there are many and plenty.
Yeah.
Sure. But pretending that Europe does not have similar problems to what we do, for example, when it comes to political corruption. Brazilians seem to think that Europeans are just not corrupt at all. I don't make it make sense. Make it make sense. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I need to calm down.
No, you are fine. Look, we have all been triggered on this podcast at one time or another. It's okay.
Mhm.
It just reminded me a whole lot of those kids that would come back from like study abroad and they would talk about just how amazing it was studying somewhere else and like, oh, I loved going to Australia. It was so amazing. I had people like that at my school and I wanted to smack the crap out of every single one of them. Now, I understand this is probably much more deeply entrenched in your all's culture, but I feel like it's at least similar enough that I can like see where you're coming from that way.
Yeah, I've definitely seen like sketches of people being like, "Oh, the rich girl coming back from the UK, and she comes back with a fake British accent and stuff like that." It's a little bit like that, but like even worse. So yeah, I have definitely met people like this that are like genuinely think that the country that they live in, whether it's Brazil or specifically for me, for Mexico, and they generally talk so much shit about it. They talk so much crap about it, and they're like, literally anywhere else in the world is so much better. And like, just because you went once to the US or went to like live for a little bit in Switzerland, you think you are better than the rest of the people around you, and you think that you are like superior in every sense of the way because you have traveled. And it's like absolutely bothers me so much because not only are you betraying where you come from and like treating the people around you in your community like shit just because now you think you're better, but also like you're just incentivizing people from those countries to treat the people from your country the way like that you're. It's just bothers me.
You know what is the point, the specific thing that makes me the most mad about this situation and this type of person is that they are praising countries that are the reason why our countries are in this position in the first place.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I just.
Yeah, like straight up, like I know a person that like literally like it's like, oh, the United States is amazing. If I could, would go to live in the United States. Everything's perfect about the United States. Mexico doesn't compare to United States, but then complains about people coming to immigrate from other countries to Mexico, and he's like, ugh, I hate immigrants. They're awful people. Why do they come here? Why would you ever want to come here? Anyways, I want to immigrate to the United States, and I'm like, bitch, what are you talking about? You're just treating the people that are coming here to our country the way that the conservative people are treating the Latinos that come into the United States, and you're just perpetuating this hurtful like situation. You're just making things worse. And okay, I could talk about this for hours. These people make me so mad.
There's a quote by a Brazilian professor that says, "When education is not freeing, the dream of the oppressor is." Of the oppressed is to become the oppressor, and I think that sums it up perfectly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As someone who is currently, living and from the United States, so I live in Michigan right now, and a couple months ago there was a lot of protests happening in Michigan because we're relatively close to Minnesota, and seeing everything that was going on there, and then seeing the reaction. Remember, Michigan's a purple state, so it's like a little bit more liberal, typically, I would say, than conservative, but it's very mixed bag worth of people. I can say this, and hopefully maybe this will make people feel a little bit better. I think the dam is breaking. I think we are this close to everything falling off of a cliff and things finally getting better. Now, could I be wrong? Sure, but I don't think I am, and I am optimistic for the future. God bless. So fingers crossed.
Also, the way that one, like the character, to go back to the film, when she comes back and like she's asking to get like the street food or whatever, like when she just got back, and then this other woman comes talk to her because she's like, the people here are like, oh my god, she came back from Europe, and like everyone wants to hear about it, whatever, like that whole thing, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then that woman that is asking her is talking about that she also dreams of like traveling and going to like Europe or whatever. And then this woman that came back immediately starts to project everything that happened to her in Europe onto this other woman, being like, you're gonna serve this man, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and then they're gonna discard you. Just thank you for telling us, Diva, everything that happened to you. Thank you so much. That was very enlightening. Very good. Thank you. Now we know what happened. Why you're back. Okay, got it.
We understand.
While like pretending that her like gringo husband was like amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was generally so funny to see like my gringo boyfriend is absolutely amazing. He treats me like a queen, but then like I know what happened there. You are girl, don't lie to us. Just be for real. Just tell the truth.
Be so for real. Because here's the thing: if it's everything that you're saying, why are you back?
Why are you back?
Why are you
here? If it was so great, and if he loves you so much, why are you here? And why is he not here? Also, if he loves you so much, like hello.
Mm-hmm. And also that scene towards the end where she's talking to Joanna, like on the roof, and Joanna is asking, like she's talking about her husband, whatever, and Joanna wants to know about the sex. She wants to know about that. The evangelical woman that is judging everyone for partying in the street and whatever and being promiscuous, all of that.
Well, they did clock her for that earlier in the movie, which I thought was funny.
This is like that critique that the movie does, I think, is one of my favorites of like the person, doesn't matter if it's a woman, man, whatever. The person hiding behind religion, in this case, evangelical, but like whatever religion it is. The people that hide behind that and like judge other people, but like behind the scenes are much worse than the people they are judging. You know, I think that is
in this particular circumstance.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. As someone who grew up in the conservative religious South of the United States, yep, that's a very real thing and a very real group of people.
And that
you want me to go on a rant about that? Let me talk about that in the future, but not today. I am in too good of a mood. So
And that like demonization that I mentioned in the beginning of like, in this like Christians or evangelical people like against anything relating to African culture, religions, any of that, kind of all of that, that happened that we see in the movie is unfortunately still alive and well, if not maybe worse. I would maybe argue today here. Thank you, CIA. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for your service. Anyway, yeah. This movie makes me feel very angry when we think about the themes that it presents to us. So it does its job in that, I guess, but all the critiques that we gave still apply. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, do we have any final thoughts as we are seeming to come to a natural
wrapping up? Mm-hmm. Oh, there's one thing that I wrote on my notes. So I just noticed because it was very quick, but I was like, oh my God, this is so real. When they had like a little like montage of things happening in Carnival, right? The people partying, all of that. There was an MJ impersonator, and I thought it was so funny because it's so real, especially in Salvador where he went. Mm-hmm. Like, but during Carnival, like that was so funny. There are so many Brazilian MJ impersonators. It's just a thing. Like, it was so funny. But yeah. Oh, and then I mentioned about like the Joanna being like the person that is representing like the demonization of African culture and all of that. And that like that scene in the end when they're talking on the roof and she says, I don't like the Afro blocks. Like that is just coming from her. Like that was just so sad. And it's so sad that it's like, it's truly like people really do feel that way. And like they really, it just makes me sad. The reality that this exposes and thinking that we haven't progressed much, in all of these years is kind of depressing, to keep it on your theme, Brooke.
Well, I mean, look, I can't be the only one bringing some form of depression to this podcast.
Right?
I mean, really, we have to do what we do. So yeah, I will ultimately say I understand what this movie is trying to do, and I think it does do some of it successfully. For the most part, not my gig. I'll just leave it there. All right, everybody. So that does mean it is time to talk about scores. So River, it was your selection, so you will be going first.
Yes. So, as I mentioned before, I feel very mixed. We talked about the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of that. However, I still do appreciate a lot from this movie. It makes me think. It makes me angry. It makes me feel something, right? I think it's impactful in many moments. And for my appreciation for it, I will give it a 3.5.
3.5 stars from River. I repeat, 3.5 stars from River. I will go next. I did think about it a little bit before we finished, but I think I'm pretty resolute in my score. I'm gonna give it 2 stars. I think it just has more it needed to do to keep me engaged, to wrap up some of these stories. I just feel like the soundtrack is really great, and a couple of the performances are really great, and that's enough for me to give it 2 stars. I think that is about my cap here.
Yeah, that's fair. When it comes to me, I have a lot of problems with this movie, especially with the editing and how the story is told. But there are flashes of brilliance in this movie that I have to respect anyways. So it's not a perfect movie, but I cannot give it that low of a score because I respect it as much as I do. So for that reason, I did give it a 3 out of 5.
There you go. So that does officially mean that Ó Paí has the lowest cumulative score out of our films reviewed on this channel, with a grand total of 2.83.
The disrespect.
We gave.
Okay, River, I would like to add, River, I would like to add, out of every
We will not stay there for long.
Yeah, out of every movie that we have reviewed on this channel, it is tied for second from the bottom on your rankings. It is only half a star more than what you gave Anomalisa. So I'm just saying.
I am very aware. I am not contesting anything. It's just enough. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So Eduardo, you haven't went below a 3 yet. So this is tied for your bottom, and then this is my second from the bottom because I definitely gave Best in Show a 1, and I stand by that. So finally next week, as we wrapped up, I don't even think we did the banner. As we wrap up Female Directors Month, we're going to be doing a movie that Eduardo and I selected together. So it was a very simple deal, okay? Eduardo and I wanted to do this movie. River did not want to do it. So in compromise, River got to pick a movie, which is what we covered this week. And we didn't want to have it go from what we're doing the week after into, sad into funny because we're doing something funny in a couple weeks. But this next movie, Eduardo and I both really like, and I'm very excited to talk about it because we are once again on the mission to find a horror movie that River will enjoy and will talk about in a positive manner.
That is not weapons.
That's not weapons.
That's not weapons.
On this podcast. Find it on this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, find it here.
You need ocular
so
proof that I enjoyed a horror movie.
Yes.
So, Eduardo, what are we talking about next week?
We will be talking about the incredibly funny and incredible movie that is Bodies from 2022.
Yay!
I didn't fight that much over this because the trade-off was good. I'm excited to watch it. I don't know how I'm gonna feel, but I am, open. Like I said to y'all before, I am this year especially open to exploring movies that I usually wouldn't choose to watch myself. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's a lot about Bodies that you specifically, River, would enjoy.
Cool. Okay.
There's a lot here to critique.
I like the poster. I'll give him that. I like the poster is fierce.
Yeah, and we get some really funny performances, and I'm really excited to see what you think about them.
Yeah, I do think that a horror comedy is going to be much easier for River to digest than just a horror film. And I think this may be the avenue we need to go in the future to try to find River a horror film.
This is my initiation. It's just the tip.
Yeah,
just
the
tip. Just the tip. So next we're talking about Bodies, and your hint for the week after next, it is a cult classic film. That's also going to give you your hint for what we're doing in June.
Maybe this is.
It wasn't already extremely obvious what we were going to be doing.
Like, come on.
For June, the three of us specifically in June.
For June.
What else?
Really,
girl.
Okay.
What are we gonna do?
What are we three queers going to be doing in June?
Makes you wonder.
Huh.
All right. But thank you guys so much for joining us here today. We have unfortunately ran out of popcorn, drank our entire soda, and nobody ever eats more than one soft pretzel. So we're going to get out of here. But tune in next week when we talk about Bodies on Movie Bucket as we wrap up Female Directors Month. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.